Hello, everyone.
Applause.
Hello, everyone. My name is...
The slides should be about.
Hello, everyone. My name is Keiretsu. I am the co-founder of Transferwise. Click. Transferwise helps people and businesses make international payments. We were experts ourselves and we were facing this problem, so we built this platform for ourselves at first. And then we realized there are many more people in the world who need this. So people have been transferring money using banks for ages. So what is it we're doing better? How is it different? So there are three key differences. First is we built a platform which is very easy to use online and it's incredibly transparent. We always use a mid-market rate to make the exchange, and we very clearly say how much we're charging you for anything we're doing. Second thing is price. We built a platform which is very low cost, and we're transferring all of these savings to our customers. Typically, we charge 0.5% for a transaction, and we always use the mid-market rate. The reason we can do it is because we're using peer-to-peer liquidity to make things easier for us. And last, it's very fast, because we're not using legacy technology. We're coming from the internet generation, so we figured that getting money across borders shouldn't take more than a day or two. Instead of 5 days, you might wait in a bank. How does it work? It's a simple three-step process. You go on the website, www.transferwise.com, you enter what's your name, how much money you're sending, and whom you're sending it to. Second, you either upload money on the site with a debit card, or we give you a local bank account you can transfer it to. And third, we receive the money, we convert it into target currency, and we pay it out to the recipient. Done. So how is it working so far? Pretty good. So we've been live for about 2 years. We've transferred hundreds of millions of dollars, and we helped our customers save more than $10 million in bank fees. So there's a screenshot of a platform called Trustpilot right now, where you can see the feedback we're getting from our customers. And they're overwhelmingly loving it. We have a rating of 9.7 out of 10, and if you look for the rating of the first bank, you find the first bank with a rating of 3.5 out of 10. And last year was a team. So I'm one of the founders. My background is 7 years building up Skype. My co-founder Christo, his background is a consultant from Pricewaterhouse and Deloitte. We have a team of 35 people, and we raised $7 million from Peter Thiel, IA Ventures, Index Ventures, and a few others so far. Thank you.
Wonderful. Wow. All right.
Yeah.
Bill,
Yeah.
you have a question.
Yeah. Well, it's to some extent it's a little bit unfair because you're way, further ahead than some of the other startups here. So, but congratulations, on the progress. So the question that's on everybody's mind is, what's the secret? I mean, because everybody else can do this, and we transfer money internationally pretty frequently, and we do it, right? But so I'm a little unclear exactly what your secret is in terms of what platform you're using that the other guys aren't using that makes it gives you a fundamental defensible advantage over all the other guys.
So first thing, we're just not that greedy.
Really?
If you
okay, so you're using the same platform technology.
I'll get to that. So if you go look at the major banks, there in the UK, 4 major banks are all earning triple-digit number of millions every year from consumer FX. So they're just making a lot of money doing this, and that's all coming from our pockets. But there's a lot of defensible advantages that we have. So we're acting locally in every country we're in. So we've built out and we continue to build out the network of banking relationships in every country. So we were able to make the payments locally using local payment methods for a very low price. And we crowdsource the liquidity in the FX market. So that's a huge difference when compared to banks who are bound to using the legacy SWIFT system, which is complicated, expensive, and slow. Plus, the cost structure we have is radically different when compared to a bank. The bank has to support a branch network and et cetera, versus we have a very slim online operation with very low overhead.
So then the next question is then regulatory. How do you overcome? Is there a big regulatory challenge in the different countries where you operate?
Regulation is a key part of the business. We're licensed by the Financial Conduct Authority in the UK, which gives us coverage all over Europe. And in every country we expand to, we have to establish local regulatory presence.
But in regards to regulation, what is the cost then of, because you have a low cost base in the business, but still you have the anti-laundering regulations, which you have to authenticate each person transferring money. So how do you handle that?
We follow the exact same rules and regulations as a commercial bank does when it comes to anti-money laundering and know your customer. So we're going to ask you for a proof of address, we'll ask you for a copy of your passport, all the boring things which we as consumers are subject to.
So you use know your customer questions and then
okay. Same as an
okay, good.
This is fantastic what you've done. The question, I guess, is it sounds like what you're doing to work with to access consumers is working with the existing bank networks that are already in place locally and establishing some kind of partnership with them. So they become the front sales, and do you just OEM this to them, or how does that work?
We do work with the banks because all the money comes from a bank account and goes to a bank account. Or in the future, it will come from a mobile phone, go to a mobile phone. We don't deal with cash. But we don't work with banks as OEM partners. So our customers come straight to us. Our growth has been, most of it has been purely organic because our customers tend to be in small, close-knit circles. And we've been growing about 20% a month for the past 12 months. So we don't work with the banks because we're also finding it hard to work with a bank to have them promote a service because this would mean shooting in their own foot. We're looking to build relationships with smaller challenger banks who would be happy to forego their FX revenues and provide a better service to the customers.
So I have a vested interest. My wife is the head of the audit chair for Zoom, which is one of your competitors and was on the Western Union First Data Boards. But my question for you is, I've heard you online and here today describe your business as consumer foreign exchange, whereas consumer money transfer is obviously a much bigger marketplace. And I'm just curious why you're confining yourself to where there's actually a foreign exchange transfer involved.
We found that foreign exchange is where the biggest rip-off is happening to consumers. So that's why we found that the sweet spot is doing international transfers which involve going from one currency to another. That's where you typically pay 3% as a hidden load to your bank, in addition to the one-off transaction fee. So we found that to be where the biggest loss happens, so we felt that's a great way to start.
So just as an example, then, if I was a Greek worker working in not Denmark, Stockholm, and I want to transfer money home, that's just the euro-based transfer, and you would say that's not something we help you.
So a Greek worker working in Stockholm would be getting their salary paid in Swedish krona.
That wasn't a good example. I knew Denmark wasn't on euros. So Ireland, a Greek worker in Ireland wants to transfer money home. And
so if you're a Greek worker, or if you're anywhere in Europe, and in Europe we have a wonderful thing called SEPA, Single European Payment Area, which makes it very, very easy and very inexpensive to make transfers from euros from one euro account to another euro account. Good thing is for us that there's not going to be many more countries joining the euro, so we're not really afraid of that eating our cake. And there is a lot of people who are customers on the euro side who are transferring money to a non-euro country.
Thank you.
And I know the US dollar is not on your website yet, but why is US more difficult? Or is it...
So we do send money from Europe to the US right now, and we're looking to open up our business in the US as well.
All right, great there. Do we have any feedback from this guy?
Sure. Yeah, so implicit in my questions were to some extent my feedback, which was that it wasn't clear what your secret sauce was, and clarifying the secret sauce. And what might have been interesting, and the other side of that is versus the competition. You position the banks, the greedy big banks, as being sort of the only player you're playing against, but there are lots and lots and lots of these other points. Some are point-to-point, and some are, focused on the unbanked. There are all sorts of different money transfer technology companies that have launched over the years, and internet banking plays over the years. So a little bit more comparison with the competition there would have been helpful in terms of putting those two together, the platform and the cost. comparison side by side, it would have been helpful to me to understand.
Thank you.
If this business is continue growing 20% a month, you will always see other players going into the same space with the same prices. So my advice, keep your cost base as low as possible. Then you will keep the competitive advantage.
Thank you.
I think this issue of working with local challenger banks I thought was really interesting because I think in every market there's going to be the people that are willing to, they're already feeling pressure from competition, they're willing to take lower margins to be able to work with the platform. And so I think that that problem of mass adoption is fundamentally one of trust. The breakdown of trust in a lot of emerging markets is quite profound. And so for new entrants to come in, I think is quite difficult. So the ability to make sure that their initial contact with you is one which emanates trust with sources of trust that are familiar to the social networks within their own communities, I think is very important. That goes a lot to the issue of user experience design, specifically customized for every different place you're operating.
Thanks.
So you're here in the US, so I assume you're here talking to US VCs for follow-on capital or maybe investment bankers or others. And my sense is that since Zoom IPO'd in January, a lot of people are now in the US looking at this space. The $1 billion market cap and $100 million of revenue, it makes it appear very attractive. So I think there'll be a lot of players in this space for a long while, but on the other hand, I think a lot of capital will be deployed. And so my first piece of advice would be prepare your IPO now, because I think it will get more difficult once there's several very well-funded investors. And then the other thing, which someone else picked up on, was I actually didn't resonate to your positioning of the banks rip everyone off, and we are the consumer's friend. I think that right now when you're little, that's not necessarily bad positioning. But I think later you'll want to work with the banks. And I don't think it will be helpful for you if all the major banks of Europe have heard you continuously say that they are scum. I think you do better to have a storyline about why you do things banks can't do, or why you supplement and support their users and consumers. In 2 and 3 years, that will certainly be better.
Don't want to be the Napster of finance.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good one.
Sit down.
Very insightful.
Yeah, Gina? You good? Wow, great feedback. Thank you.
Thank you.